Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me is NFL staff writer for Sports Illustrated, Gilbert Manzano. Gilbert, we're here to preview a big matchup between the 6-6 Rams and the 9-3 Ravens. We're in work. We are in week 14. We are live, Gilbert. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm doing well, and it's a big time matchup here. Probably, maybe one of the best three games of NFL Week 14. You got the Bills and the Chiefs. You got the Eagles and the Cowboys, and then I want to say Ravens and the Rams. Who would have thought here? And I'm never going to touch on it, but I can't wait to see the Rams offense with Stafford, Puka, and Kyren and Cooper Cup against that Ravens defense with Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, and that emerging DC Mike McDonald. So yeah, fun matchups. A lot to talk about here on House of Horns, but 3 game winning streak. Definitely a change that we did not expect after they left Green Bay.
Yeah, and it's been, a remarkable turnaround, 3-game winning streak for the Rams. And then you have the Ravens coming off a bye. It looks like they, just like we talked about last week with the Browns and, the fact that the Rams were healthier. I feel like the Ravens are on the opposite side of that. Now they're the ones that are healthy and the Rams are there's a couple guys nicked up that we'll talk about, but it's a really good matchup. And like I said, who would have thought we'd be here 14 weeks in, Gilbert, and that we're talking about the Rams perhaps trying to pull off an upset against a really good Ravens team.
Yeah, the Ravens are rested, but I'm still unsure about the Ravens without Mark Andrews because the last time they played, I saw him in person at SoFi Stadium, Ravens versus Chargers, and I'm not impressed with that passing attack. We'll get into it, but we'll see. But when you have time to adjust and watch film and study an opponent for 2 weeks, that does give you an advantage, and being rested does help. But that's what makes this matchup so fascinating. That's why I have a top three because maybe say it was the regular Ravens, no bye week. I'm like, hey, maybe the Rams could steal one there, but it makes everything a little different with that bye week there. But we'll get into it. And Alonso has a comment here. Finally, a true test for the up and coming Rams. I guess we're not gonna count the Browns as a true that's a true test. I guess the Seahawks twice either. But yeah, that's fair. This is definitely gonna be a big you want to be in the big boys and play in the playoffs, definitely go beat the Ravens in Baltimore, which is very difficult, Victor, because Detroit went over there, got crushed. Seattle went over there, got spanked. So we'll see what happens to LA.
Yeah, big test. But we'll get to all that. I got a couple of stats that have to do with the Ravens coming off of a bye week. But we have a lot to get into, Gilbert, on this show. As we talked about, we have, yes, our usual stuff. We got our news and notes. We'll go over the injury report. There's been some storylines that have come up during the week here as the Rams have now won 3 in a row, as we talked about. So there's some storylines there. And then we have, our keys to the game, our player matchups. And then, of course, we end with our game predictions. But, Gilbert, before we get to all that, what do we got going on the Compas on the Beat network that people should check out?
Before the promos, let me get to the engagement question
Oh,
of
there we
the
go.
week
I got ahead of myself.
and get talk a little more Rams before we do all the in-house stuff, the promos and
Yeah.
all that. But the
What do you got
engagement
for us?
engagement question is like suddenly those surging Rams, like Alonso mentioned, back-to-back games of 30 plus points. Kyren Williams being back, definitely makes them look better. First it was with the Cardinals, but then they did it with the Browns. A Browns defense that plays well. Yeah, they can't do anything offensively, but Browns defense would, drop basically 400 yards on them, and it was a close game, but they ended up with what 36 points. It was 36-19. So now maybe it's time to ask the question: do the Rams have one of the best offenses in the NFL? I'm not saying the best, but just looking at them where they are right now, where they're playing football in December, 6-6, are they one of the best offenses in the NFL? Obviously, you don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but this small sample size makes you feel like, hey, they have potential. But we're gonna find out. That's a big thing. We're gonna find out in Baltimore. If you're able to put up points there, even if they have like a losing effort, but they fight and they're up there and they're pushing that defense, it might tell you a lot. But I'm sure Rams fans don't want to hear that. But that's the question. Do the Rams have one of the best offenses in the NFL? Let us know in the comments right now if you're live or later on when you're watching the replay.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of stats out there that'll tell you that they are, especially the last 3 weeks, and we'll get into it. So now, Gilbert, I give you the floor. What do we got going on the Compas on the B network?
Yeah, we're trying to get to the Super Bowl Radio Row. We've done it the last 2 years, and the third one we're hoping it'll be in Las Vegas, but obviously that requires, housing and equipment. We're trying to get more fancy equipment here because we got to do everything in person, not remotely. So check out the link in the description here of this video. It's a PayPal link. If you're able to help out and donate some money to Compass on the Beat and House of Horns, it'll be much appreciated. Again, for equipment and to create content and do more videos like this. If you like the videos and you like the football conversation, do you like kind of us answering your questions and you want to give back? That is one way. Or also, if you're watching live, give a super thanks, a super like, super stickers. I'm not really sure how it works, but it benefits everybody here. So that'd be nice. That'll be a good way. But overall, if you like the content, that'd be awesome. If you can't, give something right now, that's fine too. It's the holidays and people need Christmas gifts too. So we understand, no pressure, but we are trying to get to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, which who knows, might be a little pricey because people want to get the Super Bowl, want to go to Las Vegas at any period. It could be the Super Bowl or F1 or whatever it is. But just
Right.
one way you can help out the network here. And one no, yeah, whenever we do kind of a Monday live, I know people from House of Horns were watching the Compas on the Beat live on Monday was saying, "Where's Victor? Where's Victor?" And it's Fernando. We try to do a little bit of everything. That's the main channel, Compas on the Beat. Uh, we like to talk the entire NFL there. Some Rams, not as much Rams talk like we do here, but over there we do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and then we do the looking ahead, which will record right.
Yeah,
It'll be on live in about an hour or so after we're done recording here. So if you want to join us, we'll take your questions on there as well. Uh, this Rams and Ravens game, it will be one of those games we talk about today. So we'll get more in depth on there as well. But we got one more set of business to take care of here, and that
yeah.
has to do with a player who really shined on Sunday, and that is Puka Nacua, and we are giving away his jersey. So tell the people what they can do to be able to uh get a chance to win this giveaway.
Yeah, real quick. Alonso, what's wrong with Cooper Cup? I think he's fine, but it's a Puka Nacua show. He is the number one guy right now. Cooper Cup has taken a back seat. I'm sure Victor will let you know in a bit
Yeah,
of
we'll
why
get
that
into it.
is. But and also keep dropping more comments if you're watching live here or later too. We love to see the comments, especially when during the live show. But yeah, we're giving away a Puka Nacua jersey here at House of Horns to show appreciation for the support. We're about what 722, seven something like that subscribers.
Yeah,
We're
722.
we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, hopefully before the end of the season. And when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will give away a Puka Nacua jersey, which I'm sure is something that people want. Man, that guy's balling every day or every week, I should say, or even in practice. Who knows? Every day he's bringing it, and that was a great game against the Browns. So, Puka Nacua jersey giveaway, and here's a way you can enter. Keep watching, keep doing what you're doing, stick around. And eventually, we're going to do a Puka Nacua jersey giveaway keywords. We're going to give you a keywords or a phrase. When you hear the keywords, put it in the comments. We're gonna lock you in for one entry, and then also send me an email and give me the time we drop that the keywords, the phrase, and I'll give you two entries for the Puka Nacua jersey giveaway.
There you go. I mean, now and it's at Gilbert at compasonthebeat.com. Make sure you send him an email there, and we want to get to 1,000. We're at 722. We appreciate I think Gilbert, because now that the Rams are winning, we're starting to get more subscriptions because people are excited about
Yeah,
this team, and rightfully so. I think we picked up about seven after that game once they beat the Browns. So that was great to see. Welcome to everybody, people who've been writing with us as well. We continue. I've been more active responding to comments. People have been great. They've been asking questions, and one of them I thought was really interesting. We got into the whole kicker situation, which kind of leads
yeah.
into our next thing. So, Gilbert, if you're ready, we can get started on news and notes.
Yeah, and just like I mentioned, stick around for the rest of the show for the Puka Nacua jersey giveaway keywords, and we'll see if I make you wait too long or maybe not wait that long. But regardless, stick around because Victor's about to drop some knowledge on everything that's happening with the Rams right now.
Yeah, let's get to some news and notes here when that has to do with the Ravens and Rams and Ravens. So let's start off with the kicker, and that has to do with the fact that kicker Mason Crosby was signed to the practice squad, and then Mike Garafolo this morning tweeted out that they intend to move him to the active roster in the near future. Now, Gilbert, we don't know when the near future is. It's starting to sound like it might be this weekend. Just a little background: Crosby spent 16 years with the Packers before signing with the Rams this morning. And then your former colleague at the ORC Register, Adam Grossbar, tweeted that Mason Crosby will be a candidate to be flexed to the active roster this week. So it sounds like he's gonna be active from what we're hearing. And then, according to Sean McVay, but said that the Rams won't be cutting kicker Lucas Havrisek. Now, my question to you, Gilbert, is does that mean that if they do keep both, they're going to use Havrisek on kickoffs just because Crosby is older? Or do you like the fact that they keep two kickers, or no? Like, what are your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I want to know what's been going on with Mason Crosby. He hasn't played on the Packers for a minute. I haven't checked to see what's been going on with Mason Crosby's life. So if he hasn't really been being active, he's really old now. I shouldn't say really old, but he's older. In
Yeah.
16 years with Green Bay, I like the experience, but he hasn't really done this in a minute unless I missed on a team that he's played for. But and then the other guy is the opposite. He's really young. He's been playing the last couple of weeks and he's had a few misses, but he hasn't been terrible. So it's kind of like one of these things where like you're trying to like make sure you have because you're playing in important games now, and if you have a kicker who's done it before, then you okay. Let's see how he does. But then the other part too is like, well, doesn't have the leg strength, and like we just saw Jake Elliott make a 59-yarder. Like you want a kicker with a strong leg. So in a way, it's a little weird because you're gonna have two roster spots for a kicker. That like I don't know what's going on with the numbers. Maybe they feel like they're healthy across the roster and every position they could do this. And then the other part is like, I do like that they're trying to think ahead to see just in case it gets bad, you have Mason Crosby ready to go. But I just don't. I feel like it's like, what year are we in? Why are we trying to give Crosby a chance here? But I know kickers they tend to do well for a very long time.
Yeah, and I knew that it was going to be a problem once he missed that 40 yarder, a 40 plus yarder against the Browns. And, the questions started coming in. And I even responded to somebody. I said, had they lost that game against the Browns and it was because of that kick, I think they were gonna think about bringing in a veteran. And we started flowing around names. And the reason I brought up Mason Crosby is because they brought him in for a tryout, and then they ended up signing Lucas Havrisek. And I just think you just feel better down the stretch with the veteran guy. I get it; he might not have a strong leg, but you just feel better as a team. You can't afford you. It's like when they talk about teams who get new coaches, and they're like, well, this is not a starter's job right now. It's not a starter. You can rely on a young guy like Lucas Havrisek to miss field goals as he's trying to learn, how to make field goals in the NFL. Like, you don't want that, especially when you're trying to make the playoffs. If the Rams were saying, okay, we're done for the season and we're just going to try to see, we're going to evaluate our players, then you go with Haversick. But you needed to bring in a veteran guy, Gilbert.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna experiment. Like, I don't know if this is the game to do it, but like, they have one kicker kick a field goal, and then the other kicker kick another field goal, and then just to see how Mason Crosby has been. He hasn't like played in a year. I feel like before you go all in with the guy, again, I don't know if it's smart to activate two kickers, but like you mentioned, he could be good for kickoffs. But and then we saw what happened. That was a punter, but we saw what happened with the Titans there. They lost their punter and needed Ryan Tannehill to help out. It didn't work out. So special teams, like, I guess sometimes when you have numbers as with the specialist, it does tend to work out. But there's a reason why teams don't burn an active game day spot on a specialist. So we'll see what they do. I don't think they're going to get away with that. But say they're playing the Commanders next week, and they want to just trade off to see who's doing better at what. Maybe you kick a 50-yarder or 40-yarder because I feel like they want to go with Mason Crosby because he has that experience. They just don't know what he has left, and that's a tricky spot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we're in week 14, and you're still trying to figure out your kicker situation, and that's tough, you know. And as I told somebody on the comments too, like I think the biggest regret if they don't make the playoffs is going to be not re-signing Matt Gay, just letting them walk away like that when you probably could have matched the money. Just but you didn't know at the time either. Like we've praised Les Need for everything he's done, and this is the one thing that might come back and bite them. So but let's move on, Gilbert. I'm sure not a lot of people want to continue to talk about the kicker here.
Yeah.
So let me give you one more note. Just Cooper Cup was named the Rams Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And this is such a great award that you want to win. We saw Andrew Whitworth win it in 2021 with the Rams, and it's just a cool thing. Like I think it's such a prestige award. I know we talk about MVP and all that, but I think this is the one that players really want to win just because you go out in the community and you're out there helping out, and it just shows what kind of a person you are off the field.
Yeah, and Cooper Cup, I feel like they're always sending me like emails. Hey, Cooper Cup is going here. Cooper Cup is going over there, and it's like this guy. After practice, he just goes out in the community and he gives back. And even when he was injured, he was out there doing stuff. Helping out with, either giving away food or clothes or whatever it is. Or just making a visit like to schools. Like that's awesome for these. I think he went. You told me he went to Royal High School not too long ago. So
Yeah.
he's very active around the not just where he's at in Thousand Oaks. I feel like he's all over the place in LA. So that's pretty cool. And then, whenever if you're nominated, that's a big deal. But if you win it, like you're gonna be remembered for a long time because you get to wear that cool little is it on this side of Walter Payton
Yeah.
badge that I
Yeah,
always
I seen it
see.
on Dak.
Yeah, Dak always wears it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Henry Camacho, will get to your comment. Let me just go through this injury report and then we'll get right into your comment there. So let's start out with the Rams. The Rams, we saw Tyler Higbee leave the game, and I thought it was a wrist thing. It looked like he was holding his hand. Turns out it was a neck. He didn't practice today. You got Michael Hoyt as well, didn't practice with the knee. Byron Young, I think that's the one you kind of have to keep an eye on too. He didn't practice today. And then you have Rob Havenstein, offensive lineman, who took another day of rest on Wednesday. He's been resting on Wednesday, so it sounds like he's gonna play. You got Quentin Lake with a hamstring. This week might be a week where we might see him play, but it's not. It's still up in the air. We'll see if he practices tomorrow. That might give us an indication if he plays on Sunday. And then limited was Puka Nacua and Gilbert. I love this comment by Sean McVay when he was asked. He said Puka Nacua is limited, but I don't know what the hell that means because he did everything, and they all they did was have a walkthrough. So it just shows you like what a gamer Puka Nacua is.
Yeah, Sean McVay is always like wondering why is this person limited or full, and I like he's always pretty honest when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, oh, he did everything, but for some reason he's limited. So it makes me wonder how does that work? Like, is somebody there from the league checking to see, all right, Puka didn't do these drills, so technically he's limited because you're not doing everything. Maybe that's the way it works. I don't know, but I think the way McVay probably also wanted to say that comment is like, this guy's a gamer. He's always available. He's been hurt. You probably maybe mentioned 5 different body parts on Puka Nacua of him showing up
Mhm.
on the injury report, and he keeps playing and keeps playing. He's tough. He's a bigger wide receiver. That's why he could block as well. He could do a little bit of everything. He's a great route runner. So, yeah, he's doing everything right there. And it is. I'm sure it's concerning for people, especially fantasy football people. And how about a month ago when people were trying to get rid of Puka Nacua and fantasy football because Cooper Cup was coming back and everybody was worried, and then here he is, the star of the show here. Sorry, Alonso, by the way, because he has Cooper
Yeah,
Cup. But
yeah, and
yeah,
well,
he's doing well and he's contributing. And like you mentioned, Victor, he's a future number one guy. So I'm sure McVay wants to keep him full status every single day.
yeah, and just rest the guy, man. He's a gamer. He'll be ready to go on Sunday. And then lastly, defensive tackle Laredo Murchison. He was a full participant, so with an elbow, so he's ready to go. And let me just go real quick with the Ravens. They're pretty healthy outside of Rashard Bateman. He did not practice. He had an illness. Outside of that, it sounds like they're going to get back Marlon Humphrey with the calf injury. He was a full participant. Outside linebacker Malik Ham with an ankle, linebacker Trent Simpson with a concussion, cornerback Demarion Williams with the calf as well. And then they only had two guys that were limited, and that was linebacker Malik Harrison with the groin and defensive tackle Justin Marabuki with the concussion as well. So it sounds like they're going to be pretty healthy, which is the healthiest they've been since the beginning of the season, Gilbert.
Yeah, but I keep going back to Mark Andrews. He makes all the difference in the
Yeah.
world. He's not going to play, and yeah, he's an IR. We'll see what happens with him, but we'll get to storylines in a bit, and I'll explain to you why that's a big difference. But other than
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
they're healthy, and again, they have a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare, so that's a big advantage, especially when you're going from LA to Baltimore with a very young team. But obviously, you're led by Stafford, Cup, and Donald and McVay.
yeah. And as you mentioned, we got storylines coming up next. But before we do, we have a comment here from Henry Camacho. Let me read it to you. It's going to be tough in Baltimore. Kyren Williams is going to have to dig deep. Maybe it benefits the Rams that they perform well against Cleveland's defense, control the game, and limit mistakes. And then, Henry, I'll say this, Gilbert, before you reply. That's going to be part of my keys to the game. So I'll get more into it. So if you want to answer, or what your reaction is to Henry's comment here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough as hell to get some running yards on that defense, and they're probably I want to I know the defensive front is not loaded with talent, but they're probably the best defense in the NFL. Like even like the Chiefs are trying to give them a run for their money, but the Chiefs kind of took a step back, with the Jordan Love game. I can't really think of a time where the Ravens defense really stunk. Maybe that sorry, the Cleveland game a couple weeks ago where they couldn't get a stop in the fourth quarter. That's usually their thing, their fourth quarter. But Henry, I want to see the Rams jump to a big lead. Don't wait till the fourth quarter to try to make a comeback. If you put the pressure on that defense and then on Lamar Jackson, that could be a different story. But we'll get to that in a bit and keep watching. We're gonna keep breaking down this your takeaway here in a bit. But man, if you jump out to a big lead, or not a big lead, but at least establish a run early, and you jump out to like a double-digit lead, that's gonna make all the difference in the world because it's gonna open up your passing game and more running lanes with Kyren Williams.
And you're gonna need that because the Ravens have been, good at home at jumping on teams. As you talked about, they blew out the Lions, they blew out the Seahawks. So, I mean, it hasn't been good for teams going west to visit them. So, hopefully, the Rams, turn things around there. And then one more from if Stafford sees something like he did against Cleveland, take your shot. That 70-yard play was on Stafford. McVay joke, "Why am I here?" Brilliant audible. Yeah, I mean, when you have someone like Stafford, I mean, and making that money throw there, Gilbert, that was just beautiful, honestly. And then I know a lot of people are like, "Wait, how come we didn't see Puka Nacua speed at the combine?" It just tells you that sometimes football speed is a lot different than 40 times speed.
Yeah, when you could run a nice route, when you could you could find the openings and in the zone defense, when like yeah, because he runs good routes to beat people in man coverage, and then he knows how to find the spaces with the leverages and just moving around. Like he's so shifty and dynamic, so that doesn't really show up in speed. And I was listening to something the other day, and it was a podcast, and they were saying uh Jameson Williams, when he had the end around touchdown for the Lions against the Saints, people were saying he must have gone over 22 miles per hour for next gen. And then next gen comes in, we're like, it was like 8 to 10 miles per hour because it was only like a 19-yard gain. Like you need to go down set like 70 yards. I'm like, so it's different speeds for every type of kind of play, yardage, things like that you don't account for. So this 40 time, who cares?
Yeah, and I saw Jordan Rodriguez tweet where she was saying that I think he became the fourth player this year, Puka Nacua, to go over 20 miles per hour on, so that tells you that it's that silent speed, man. There's a difference between football field speed and 40 times speed. And then we're getting a bunch of comments, but we'll get to it because we need to let's wait on those real quick, Gilbert, because we got to get to storylines. I don't want to fall behind here. All right, what do you got for Rams and Ravens storylines? Let's start off with the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll segue with Henry Camacho's comment here, and the Ravens have been getting by with this 9-3 record with the defense, and they just smother you. They have a great scheme. the DC and McDonald puts all their players in the right spaces, and now that they're getting comfortable, and Hamilton's been a game changer. He knows how to. He's like the biggest chess piece for this defense. He could go to the box, he's not as great in coverage, but he's gotten so much better. But he's all over the field. So uh Roquan Smith, Roquan just does everything right. I don't know how the Bears let him go. He's awesome to watch. So, it starts with their defense. So, but we all like to focus on Lamar Jackson because he's a quarterback and he's a former MVP. And they have Zay Flowers, who's been pretty good as a rookie. But I think for that team, it goes first their defense and then their offense. And their special team has kind of been a little up and down. For some reason, special team hasn't been worked out. But Justin Tucker is there, so that's a big thing to deal with when
Yeah.
your kicker can make all these field goals. Besides, like when I was at SoFi, he missed, I think it was like a 44, 48 yarder in the fourth quarter, and everybody lost their minds in the press box. Like, what the hell?
I
Justin
saw
Tucker missed.
tweets I saw tweets on my timeline just going, "Wow, wow, wow! What
Yeah.
just happened?" It was
So that's how
crazy.
amazing he is. But it shows that he's human. He can miss a couple, but that's the luxury of the Ravens. They have a great kicker, a Hall of Fame kicker, and they have probably the best defense in the NFL. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson is a nightmare, and that's a key right there too. Is like there's a reason Lamar Jackson is 18-1 against the NFC because you don't see him every day. That's such a unique quarterback you have to deal with. You got to make like obviously Jalen Hurts is a good runner, Justin Fields is too, but for some reason Lamar Jackson is just a different type of runner. Like he just gets away from you, and then he has a great deep ball. So obviously he's not the best quarterback, like as a pocket passer, but he's so dynamic. He's a game changer with his legs and his arms. So there's a lot to account for here with the Ray. Like I'm losing my breath. You got to keep track of this and that, but
Yeah.
it's definitely their defense. But you want to look for a weakness there. Like I mentioned, special teams a little spotty. The fourth quarter, they don't close out opponents for some reason. So if you're the Rams, maybe hang around a little bit. Obviously, you want to get to a big lead, but if you're hanging around, and the team that the Rams just beat, the Browns, they were hanging around against the Ravens not too long ago, and they came back and beat the Ravens too. So that might be confidence right there, Vic. Like when you're trying to compare opponents, the Rams beat the Browns, and the Ravens didn't do it the second time around. The first time was against DTR, right? So
Yes.
for things like that, it kind of help you feel a little better. But it's always a defense with the Ravens for me.
Yeah, and I mean, give credit to Todd Munkin because when he came in, I was a little bit unsure as to how this offense was going to work because we've heard about Lamar Jackson wanting to throw the ball, and he was tired of running that whatever they were running in terms of that zone offense or whatever it was that they were running before. It just he wanted to throw the ball kind of like what he did at Louisville, and so they brought in, the offensive coordinator from Georgia, and Todd Munkin has done a really good job. Now, my only concern in terms for them has been you were there against the Chargers, and that was the first game without Mark Andrews. And that's the biggest thing is how do they adjust now? As you talked about, before it was Marquise Brown and Andrews, that was their offense. And then if you took one of them away, you were good. Now you have Say Flowers, you have OBJ, you have and this might be the one where and I keep thinking about it. He's a former Raider. I was blanking on his name. He went to USC and I'm blanking, but he's the third receiver on this team. And then you got Bateman as well, Rashad Bateman. So he's got really quality.
Oh, Aguilar.
Nelson Aguilar. Thank you for reminding me. I,
I
I
forgot he's
totally
on the
forget.
team, but yeah.
Totally forgot about Nelly, number 15 there. And then Isaiah Likely. I think he was being fed against the Chargers, and I think that's the guy you kind of have to keep an eye on too. But as you talked about, I want to ask you this. Is this the most complete team from top to bottom for you, Gilbert? Or is it like the teams in the East with like the Cowboys, the Eagles, or the 49ers?
I will say, man, it's in the AFC. Maybe them and the Chiefs are the most complete, but I feel like maybe I trust the Chiefs wide receivers. I mean, sorry, the Ravens wide receivers more than the Chiefs. But then the Chiefs have Travis Kelce. So it could be a toss up there. I don't think they're on the level of the 49ers and maybe not even the Cowboys or and the Eagles. But because you touched on it right now, I just don't trust the Ravens passing attack, and that's why I feel like it's gonna be tough to establish a run with Kyren Williams, but that's who you are. That's your identity. You need to establish a run, and everything gets better for you. And don't just okay. Maybe you get stopped a couple times, three and out, and you go away from that. That's a bad recipe right there. Try to get a lead because I want to see the pressure on Lamar Jackson, Victor. Every single game the Ravens have played this year, they enter the fourth quarter with the lead, and maybe the pressure of them to hold the lead catches up to them because they lost 3 games that way, but there's a reason why they've gone every single game with the lead in the fourth quarter. They just know how to beat you up. They get you confused on defense, confused on offense because Lamar Jackson is just that special. But he hasn't been forced to pass the ball. And I see his numbers are very pedestrian. Okay, another 200 yards. Cool. He's completing the ball, completing the pass at 70%. That's pretty impressive. But he's not going down the field. OBJ has lost a step. He's been better, and it's nice to see him healthy, but he's not the same OBJ. Rashad Bateman, I don't know what happened to him, but he's a former first round pick. He's not playing like it. Zay Flowers is pretty good, but he's a burner, and it's tough for them to go down the field because their identity is more about running the ball. And they got I'm already blanking. Oh, the Gus Edwards and Mitchell, right? So
Yeah,
you
King
know,
Mitchell.
not the best running backs, but they're productive for that scheme and that offensive line there. So I want to see him put pressure on Lamar Jackson. If they're far behind 10 points and you got to pass the ball, we haven't seen that team do it all year.
And this is where I'm gonna agree with Ram fans, where I think you kind of want to see Raheem Morris be a little bit more aggressive. I want to see a bit more pressure, as you talked about, on Lamar Jackson. Use some blitz. You're gonna have to blitz Lamar Jackson. One of the things that I've seen over the past few years when he's been healthy is he still has problems with with blitz packages, and so if you can confuse him out there, you might have a shot. And then, as you talked about, you have Zay Flowers and you have OBJ, but those are guys that are catch and then they get the yak yards. So you want to maintain that zone too. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But Gilbert, before we move on to the Rams, let me just go here. Let's go through some of these comments because I want to make sure that we're having our subscribers here, chime in with some of the stuff. So here, let's start off with Steve on. He says, "Control the run and we win." And honestly, if you can get Kyren Williams going, I think that's going to be a big plus.
Yeah, and just in case if Steve was talking about the other side with the Ravens, keep an eye on Zay Flowers with the jet sweeps because he had a touchdown with against the Chargers, right? With a
Just
little run play. So
yeah, that ended the game.
yeah, so you know, I think for both sides, they're kind of a little bit similar because they want to slow it down a bit to open up the passing game. They are more run first. So yeah, for Kyren Williams, it's gonna be difficult. And man, I want to see what he does because Kyren, I really like watching him play. But let's see what you do against one of the better defenses in the NFL, and maybe you're a legit dude. I think he already is, but I want to see that. And then if Steve is talking about the Ravens rushing attack, that's definitely a big part of their offense because again, force Lamar to throw. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he hasn't done it this much this year, and it's probably not his fault. I just don't think he has the weapons there. And when Mark Andrews was getting open, it's kind of like, well, these guys aren't getting open, so let me just throw it off to Mark Andrews. He doesn't have that luxury right now, so that's why I keep harping on that. Jump on them with the lead and force them, change the game script, and force them to be the ones to adjust. Because going into Baltimore, I'm sure the Seahawks thought they had a plan and Detroit, and they just kind of went to hell for the first quarter.
Yeah, and that's they're gonna jump on you. You got to be all right. Let's go to Beast Unleash here. Last week I predicted us to be at the Browns 27-24, and we whooped that ass. Yeah, he was right. He called that. But we all thought it was gonna be a tie game. Here's Henry Camacho. Football speed is winning speed. Cup had a slow combine. Credit to Les Need, and you know what, Les Need. I think we'll get into it in the next couple of weeks, Gilbert, but he should be up for executive of the year with what he's done. He probably won't win it, but he should be in the conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to be something that people will take notice, but he was patient with the plan. The plan to really start using the salary cap and spend money and keep that first round pick, that was 2024. And I'm sure being in LA and getting pressure, like go make a deal at the deadline, go do something. Like you started off pretty well, go do something. And I'm not trying to say like he deserves credit for not doing anything, but you deserve a lot of credit for for definitely the patience, but also for hitting on the draft class because too many times, Victor, we always talk about, especially you talk about, well, when every year it's unpredictable because there's 4 or 5 teams that didn't make the playoffs that make it next year,
Yep.
and there's always one key thing in common with those teams that go from last to first or make the playoffs. They hit on the draft. It's an impact draft that hits right away. It's not like you're waiting for that guy to develop in year three. No, it's immediate impact. We talk about the Seahawks in 2012 with Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner. We talk about even that. I think it was like 2017 where the Saints hit on Alvin Kamara and a bunch of other guys. They went to the playoffs. So these draft classes make all the difference in the world, and they could decide where your season goes. And that's the less need. That's Sean McVay, and they hit on that. I know they haven't been hitting on all their picks, but without a first round pick to do it in 2023, that's big. And the most important part, your plans, your long term plans, those are the good GMs. They think about current and then long term. You're set up nice for next year too.
And to your point, look at the Colts. Look at the Texans this season. I mean, they had really good drafts, and now they're in position to make the playoffs, just like the Rams. We have Bazaar. Is it Tabrizi? As a team looks to win Rams.
I
So
can't. I can't
thank
cry.
you for. We always appreciate the comments. And then Beast Unleashed. Once Stafford gets fully healthy, this team will beat anyone. And yeah, like
It looks out there to me.
yeah, he looks pretty healthy. Them will be even harder to stop. Hope we put it up a good fight on Sunday, and I think they will. And then he said, keep Lamar in the pocket, just like you said. He's yeah, we that's gonna be a big key. Keep him in the pocket, and then try to blitz him, try to put some pressure on him. Should Says Stafford and fully healed should not be used in the same sentence, but I hope he feels loose on Sunday. Onyx
Yeah.
26-26. He's the one that said that Stafford and Anthony Davis are a lot alike, and
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him.
Hey,
The,
he's
the
been
hopes up
healthy enough, and it's showing
is
out there. I'll say
yeah,
that.
and then we got Henry Camacho, like Jordan Rodriguez says, if the Rams are supposed to be a bad team, these players don't know it. With some depth, they'll get better. Just to your point. And then we got one last one, and that's from my brother-in-law, Kevin. He's just giving us a shout out. So
What's
shout
up,
out,
Kevin?
Kevin. Thanks for checking us out. But in terms of the Rams, Gilbert, what are the storylines?
Yeah.
That do you want me to go, or do you
Let,
want to?
let me address Henry's comment, and then that way could be a segue for you.
Okay.
And I think that goes to show it's coaching, and I think that's why there was, at least for us, at least for me, because you expected better from the Rams, but a lot of people were saying they might even be in the race for Caleb Williams and Drake May. Like they're supposed to be a really bad team because it was Aaron Donald and a bunch of nobodies on defense, and on offense they were top heavy and nobody knew about the rookie class. But I'm gonna give myself a little point here. You could take more points because you predicted playoff race. I said there might be 7, 8 wins for this team because I trust the coaching. Coaching is a big thing here. Yes, Leslie, you got the players. You got to develop these guys. And I think, today, Sean McVay's presser, he was asked about hey, like it was a tough year last year to be back in the playoff race. You kind of like felt like, maybe you take it for granted when you're winning all the time. And now it's like you fought back up with a different kind of core or different roster. I think that makes a difference in the world. Like you had that group there, and now it's so much different. Obviously, you still have Stafford, Donald, and Cup. That makes a lot of difference there. But it's a brand new team, and that's coaching. So I feel like, like these players probably thought like, well, it's our first year in the NFL. We're young, but whatever they're showing us, like I'm learning, I'm getting better, I'm having fun here, and then you get to work with some of the best players in the NFL with Stafford, Cup, and Donald. I keep saying that trio. So when you have that trio, and you have a good executive, and you got a good coaching, I think that's why they're a year ahead. Like I'm not surprised about it. Maybe to the extent that like they're for sure 5 games left, they have a strong chance. I thought it's gonna be something like week 17, they might hover around, maybe they'll fight. But I expected 7, 8 wins. You expected 9 or 10. So here they are because of coaching.
Yeah, and that's a great point by you because I was thinking more of like who my question was going to be, well, who do you give credit? Is it less need? Is it the coaching, the development? And as you just pointed out, for you as a development, and one of the things that people are gonna kind of use against less need is like, yeah, but you had a bunch of shots to be able to get this right? Because you had a bunch of picks, but you still have to hit on them. You're getting results from guys in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. These guys are not supposed to make the NFL. Like, you get lucky if you get one guy or two guys. The Rams are hitting on a bunch of these dudes. You got Russ Yees, you got um, you know, Kobe Durant, guys that are in the middle rounds that are starting on your defense, guys that nobody said, well, what do they have here? And it helps when you're able to see this up front. Like, it had not had we not gone and see the Rams, that Sunday before the season for training camp, I wouldn't have picked the Rams. I would have been like, looking at this roster, I don't know where they're gonna get 9 wins, but seeing Puka Nacua, seeing some of these young players and seeing them be able to perform. Yes, I get it. It wasn't preseason, but sometimes being there for training camp and being able to see these players day after day, like some of these B reporters do, it helps. And sometimes you can get, I've seen it with other teams where you're like, you think, oh, okay, maybe this team's gonna be good, and it turns out it's not. And it's just, I figured that, look, Sean McVay decided to return, and once he did that, and then with the complement of young players, he's going to coach them up. And this was his time to prove it. And so far, after 14 weeks, it's showing that everything has come together, Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm wondering if because Sean McVay started this so early, like he was even a position coach in his 20s, the tight ends coach in Washington, became a head coach and whatever 30 years old, and when you're doing so much, like he kind of lost. Like when we were in our 20s and our early 30s, we want to go have fun. And this guy is working every single day, 12-hour shifts, to be a coach in the NFL. And I'm guessing that kind of is part of being burnt out because he did everything. He went to the Super Bowl, and now I'm wondering because he fell down last year with the 5-12 record, and they're building this roster. He's probably like, whoa, I kind of enjoy this. And he's probably going through that feeling where like some of these coaches who are lifers, like Bill Belichick, whatever, or Pete Carroll, and maybe he started having debates about maybe I don't want to go to TV. I want to keep doing this because it's a new core group and a good rookie class where he just gets everything. Everybody's excited. They're like, wow, okay, cool. It's just coming together. And that's probably, I'm wondering what's going to happen for McVay at the end of the year. And one more note, like it's just seeing the matchup between Zay Flowers and Puka Nacua, the rookie wide receivers. One was drafted in the first round, the other was drafted in the fifth round. And there's a lot of good wide receivers, rookie class this year. And Puka Nacua, all the way in the end of the fifth round from BYU might be the best one. You got like Tank Dell, who got hurt, unfortunately. You got Jackson Smith and Jibba. You got I'm trying to think of somebody else. Josh Downs from the Colts. So a lot of good names that are producing right now. And he was just drafted day 3 of the draft.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for, CJ CJ Stroud having an all-time, quarterback rookie quarterback season, I mean, Puka Nacua would be the, rookie of the year, but it's going to go to a quarterback. We know that quarterbacks usually get that award as well. So, I mean, shout out to the Rams for being able to, draft well. And to your point, Gilbert, you're right about, you know, uh getting to be a coach so young. Like, it doesn't compare to it, but I remember in my 20s being an editor for 3 years and just burning out. I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to write. I just want to be a reporter because it just, and for him, to continue to do this and come back and do it, you learn as you get older. And I think that's the thing with me too. It's like I've learned as I've gotten older that, hey, you can manage things, and he's learned to manage it. As we saw, he just had a baby, he got married, and then I think he probably was able to kind of breathe during that bye week, and that's
Yeah.
also why they've been able. And talking about the bye week, I have a couple things before we move on to our player matchups. Just the Rams have not only won 3 straight since that bye week, but they're averaging 30 points per game since they came off the bye. So as you talked about earlier, is this offense legit? It looks like it. Once they got Kyren Williams, they've been averaging 30 points. And then the Ravens are 5-3 all time against the Rams and are 12-3 coming off a bye under John Harbaugh. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well for this Sunday matchup. But let's get to our player matchups, Gilbert.
Yeah, yeah. Mine is I'm trying to remember, but I got it. It's Stafford against Kyle Hamilton, and I'm a big fan of Kyle Hamilton's game, the safety. He reminds me a bit of Derwin James, maybe not as physical, but he could definitely rush the passer. He could play a little bit of linebacker. Gotten so much better in coverage. I think that was his one knock last year. And every time I check the PFF grades, it's not like my Bible, but it's kind of like a just to see where they are. He's
Yeah.
always ranking pretty high, like in the 80s or 90s. So that's Kyle Hamilton, and a lot of these players that they're so versatile. And it's gonna be a credit to the DC Mike McDonald. Like they don't know how to use the guys. Okay, you're doing too much here, too much there. They can't really figure out a place. You start putting them in one place, and it's kind of okay. We don't know what to do with this guy. And with Kyle Hamilton, they figure it out. And I think the NFL, the football public, got to see Kyle Hamilton on Sunday Night Football. And I posted a video on my TikTok with Lamar Jackson and Kyle Hamilton. And I'm surprised how many people recognize Kyle Hamilton. Like, oh, that guy's a beast because of what he did on Sunday Night Football. So Stafford has to take into account where he's going to be at all times. He's going to make the difference. It could be he could pretend to go and rush a passer. We'll go back in coverage. He'll get you a pick. So you got to be. It's going to be a chess match, a guessing game of where he's going to be. And that's the thing that I worry about for this Rams offense is that Mike McDonald having 2 weeks to prepare where to put Kyle Hamilton, and then the other part too is like they have Roquan Smith too, who's just as mobile as a run stopper coverage, one of the best linebackers in the NFL, maybe the best. But then again, Fred Warner's out there too, so it's going to be tough to deal with those two guys. But I just want to see the matchup, especially Stafford being healthy and the way he just picked apart the Browns defense, a very good defense too. And that touchdown for Puka Nacua doesn't work without Stafford calling the play, making the adjustment, tight window throw, things like that. So I want to see this matchup between both of them, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and I was trying to look because I thought about somebody when you mentioned Kyle Hamilton, and to your point, I saw him. He had an interception return, a pick six against Deshaun Watson on the first play of the game against the Browns, and then he's had a three sack performance where he can just blitz. The guy is just a freak when it comes to playing that position,
He's
and
like
as
six
you
five too, something
yes,
tall.
yeah, and it reminds me. I remember this player, and I sure and we I've talked about him. I used to gush about him. He just didn't work out in the NFL because he never got put in that situation where they knew how to use him, and that's Isaiah Simmons who came
Yeah,
out of Clemson. Like I thought he was going to be that new era of safety slash linebacker where you can move him around, and we never got to see it because he went to an Arizona team that never realized how to do it. And Arizona was they've also had guys like Savion Collins. We saw what's the edge rusher for the Eagles that they also drafted and
Hassan
didn't know how
Reddick.
to. Uh, yeah,
Hassan Reddick.
Hassan Reddick as well. Yeah. So there you go. And it tells you if you don't go to the right situation, and Mike McDonald was perfectly. He's got Jadavian Clowney. You got Kyle Banoit, guys that were picked up either 2 weeks before the season or into the season, and they've made it work. Like they don't have a great pass rusher, but they have guys that know how to get to the quarterback, and Kyle Hamilton is one of those examples. And it's gonna be a great matchup between seeing where they line him up. Stafford's gonna have to see where he's at, but and he dropped. Like Kyle Hamilton was supposed to be a top three
Yeah,
pick when he came out, and
he's
he
like
just kept
14.
on dropping. And it's just like it tells you we go back to evaluating players. Like I don't understand why teams just don't take the best player available. That's one of the things I've always been impressed with the Ravens since the early 2000s is they always it doesn't matter. And I used to hear this from former GMs, and they used to say, "Hey, we're gonna, why do you always draft the best player available? Is because if we don't have something for them, we're still gonna use them." They used to do it. They did it with Terrell Suggs. They did it with Ray Lewis. Dudes just seem to fall to them, and they continue to do it now with Kyle Hamilton. And it's just great to see him thriving because I just didn't understand why he fell. He should have been a top three pick.
And one more point that you mentioned, and it makes so much sense. Like when you have Colin Hamilton being an extra pass rusher, like you mentioned, like they have a veteran core like with Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney, like they're racking up the sacks there, and that makes all the difference in the world, especially with Roquan Smith being there too. And like I had my question marks about this defense, but I'm like, where are they gonna get their pressure from? They have no defensive lineman. And here they are with Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney turning back the clock, and they're one of the league leaders in sacks too. So those two big chess pieces make all the difference in the world. But we're definitely gonna keep an eye on Kyle Hamilton in particular.
And we'll get into this in the looking ahead show. And just to give you a heads up, I think the linebacker position is going to come back because if you look at the teams that are really good right now, Gilbert, this Ravens team with Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, you look at the 49ers and look at the Eagles. The reason they're getting exposed is because they haven't gone and solidified their linebackers. I think teams are going to start to realize that, hey, if we don't have good linebackers, we're going to get left behind. And I think if you see the 49ers and the Ravens in the Super Bowl, it's going
Mm.
to make teams, think about making sure that they have good linebackers again.
And that's why that big time showdown, Eagles against the 49ers. The 49ers also have a weak secondary, and they have a good defensive line like the Eagles. But the one thing they have better than the Eagles is the two linebackers. Greenlaw and Warner could cover and stop the run, and that could take away, that could make your secondary is so thin and inexperienced look better because those two guys are the erasers and they're helping out. But that's a good point by you. And I was gonna mention something else that I'm blanking. Oh, also, we should credit Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones is pivotal for this defense on the Rams. Yeah, he's not the biggest name, but he makes a lot of this defense work. And that's what we're always wondering, how are they making it work here with Raheem Morris? He is the glue for the scheme. He allows the secondary to kind of have some mistakes, but he helps them out there, stopping the run, things like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned him because he had 15 tackles against the Browns, and he was huge. They needed every one of those tackles against the Browns. And then for me, Gilbert, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to choose a player. I'm excited about this coaching matchup. I want to see what Sean McVay can do against Mike McDonald. Last week we saw Jim Schwartz and Sean McVay. Sean McVay won that battle. As you said, the Browns had the best defense in terms of yardage. They had not allowed a lot of yards, and then the Rams, hit them for almost 400 yards. Now you get a stud defensive coordinator. Now, one of the things that a lot of the nerds, the football nerds, like Mike McDonald, and rightfully so. He's a guy who came from Michigan, so he's kind of been around that system, and I think part of the reason you're seeing this evolution of the defense being able to be really good this season. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's bad quarterbacks. It's the offenses have stalled." I think a big part of it is because a lot of these young defensive coordinators have caught up, and part of it is because you have guys like Mike McDaniel who came from college. They've seen a lot of these kind of offenses, but for me, Mike McDaniel feels like
McDonald.
this Mike McDonald, sorry, Mike McDaniel. Mike McDonald feels like he's what Sean McVay was when he was coming out of Washington. And I think he's going to be the next hot. Either he's super young. I think he's still in his 30s. Um, and so he's going to be that guy. He might take his time. He might not be he might not take a job. He might be like Ben Johnson where he's going to pick and choose what job
Yeah.
he takes during the offseason. But his defense has been so creative. The way he uses the creepers, if I've stole this from the nerds, where you have a bunch of linebackers or your safeties creep up, and then you pull them back, and it confuses your quarterback. And so when you brought up the whole thing with Matthew Stafford, it set me up for this because I want to see how that motion with Sean McVay, how he's been using that motion, and you've seen they've been scoring over 30 points the past three games. I want to see how he does that because I know a lot of people are talking about that 49ers and Ravens matchup. This is the one I want to see because Sean McVay I has won a Super Bowl and he's been one of the more innovative guys. And I know everybody's waiting for that Shanahan matchup, but for me, this is the one I'm looking forward to, Gilbert.
Yeah, and it's funny because like you were talking about the whole linebackers making a comeback. the credit to McVay for noticing how people have neglected the linebackers, and now they're playing this, too high shell, don't beat me downfield thing, and it's and the with the zone rushing attack, it worked, but it wasn't the right fit for what today's NFL is, and Sean McVay is doing this smash mouth football, and Kyren Williams is not the biggest dude, but they're seeing the openings in the middle of the field and say, we're going to keep pounding the rock. And you don't adjust your defense with this too high shell and you got weak linebackers, we're going to make it work here. And that's why they drafted a Steve Avila in the second round, because they saw the way defenses are. And now people, when we talk about Mike McDonald, people are focusing on getting the next Sean McVay offensively. But right now, this is the era of the defenses. And that's why Mike McDonald might be a hot commodity in the offseason, because it's a copycat league. And credit for Sean McVay for evolving. Again, he's not the 11 personnel heavy guy he's been. It's not the zone rushing attack. It's more like, all right, you want to just go back to old school football, and you got no linebackers out there. Let's pound the rock. And he's finally doing that. So, we'll see what he does. But the Ravens are a little unique. Like you mentioned, they got Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, who, by the way, Baltimore fans wanted to get rid of that guy, and he's still out there. So that is one thing, credit for Sean McVay, changing up the rushing attack with Kyren Williams.
And just want to say, Marty, what's up, Ramilia? Hey, what's up? Thanks for checking in with us. Like I said, guys, don't be afraid. I know we're having a big discussion here, but don't be afraid to comment. We love the feedback. Thanks to everybody that's been hitting us up with comments on here. And yeah, Gilbert, I going back to what you were saying, I mean, in terms of Mike McDonald, that's why I'm excited for this matchup. I want to see, I know usually we pick players in this situation, but I wanted to go with the coaches just because you have one guy who's, he was one of the innovators in 2007 who kickstarted the offense, what we've seen the last few years. And then now you get, a defensive coordinator who's done that for the defenses around the league. So I can't wait to see this matchup, and it'll be good. So
Yeah.
go ahead and let's get to keys to the game, unless you want me to
No,
uh
it's time for the Puka Nacua jersey giveaway
there
keywords.
you
I made
go.
people wait 57 minutes here, but you've been watching, and it's a good turnout right now for the live show. That's awesome to see
Yeah.
here. So,
This is the
if you're
most people we've had. I mean, it's
for the
pretty
live,
cool. Yes.
it is pretty cool. And if you're new here, we're about to drop the keywords for the Puka and jersey giveaway. We're gonna give away a Puka jersey when we get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're new here, hit the subscriber button. We would love to get to 1,000 before the end of the season, or sooner than that. That'd be awesome. But the keywords are send Puka to the Pro Bowl. I think Puka Nacua is worthy of a Pro Bowl spot. So that's why I had the keywords here. So in the comments here, even in the live chat, I'll write it down. I wrote down the one we had last week because I don't know how to use this thing. It might disappear at the live. I'm sure I could find the comments. But in the comments, either regular or on the live, type in send Puka to the Pro Bowl, and you get one entry for this Puka Nacua jersey giveaway. You want a second entry, send me an email with the time we dropped it here. Like I mentioned, we're in the high 50s right here, almost an hour. Time and the keywords and an email. And let me know your YouTube username account, and it'll be two entries there. We had a couple people do that. But my email, Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. Gilbert with an O at compasonthebeat.com. Again, Puka Nacua, jersey giveaway, keywords, send Puka to the Pro Bowl.
There you
You got
go,
one, Henry.
guys.
Henry's on it.
There we go, Henry. Good job. We got you. All right, and then we got one more. We got LA Rams here. What's happening, Ramily? Hit the like. There you go. Thank you. And then they're going with I say Rams 24-20. So we got a prediction. We're not quite there. We got Marty? What's going on, man? You're not subscribed. We need you to subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so you
Come
can
on, Marty.
get that, so you can get to 1,000 subscribers, so we can
Marty,
give
just
away that.
comment with the send Puka to the Pro Bowl, and I'm gonna lock you in for this giveaway we're gonna try to do here. It's simple. LA Rams too. Henry already did it. Kevin, if you want to, I'm trying to look up right here. If you're watching right now, Onyx, Beast Unleashed, Bezad. I don't want to butcher your name. Sorry. And yeah, Steve on Alonso. Just comment. Send Puka to the Pro Bowl, and I'll lock you in for a jersey giveaway contest.
There we go. So that'll segue us, Gilbert, to keys to the game. What do you got for the people today?
Yeah, like I've been harping here, Force Lamar Jackson.
Yes, yes. If we get to 1,000, I'll wear some gear too,
Yeah,
a Rams gear.
Steve really wants Victor to wear a Rams hat, and I think Steve's a big fan of your work, Victor, because on the Monday
Yeah.
live show he kept asking, "Where's Victor? Where's Victor?"
Oh, there we go.
Uh,
I appreciate it, Steve. You keep Fernando on his toes there.
yeah, and Marty got a nice comment too. I like that. I'm loving this. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
there you go.
House of
How's
Horns is
the
a really good channel name. Oh, cool. Like it. Cool.
there we go.
Maybe I was watching like the House of Dragons when this was that like last year they came out, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll steal that.
Yeah, there we go.
But
There we go.
my
Let's get it.
yeah, let's try to go to 7-6 for the Rams. Let's try to go. Is that the record? Oh, the record. Yeah, the record. Yeah.
This.
I was like, was it trying to win
Yeah, because
seven
they're
six?
6-6, so they're
Yeah.
saying if they win, they'll get to seven
I
and
thought he was doing
six.
like a score prediction. I'm like, yeah, I could see it. I was trying to think about it, but
All right, keys
yeah,
to the game, Gilbert.
keys to the game. I'll make mine quick. Like I keep telling you, definitely stop Zay Flowers and like you mentioned, Victor, they don't just use him as a downfield threat because they know it's not bombs aways in this offense, which it was supposed to be with Tom Monken. Like Monken was coming in and saying, "All right, let's push the ball down the field here, Lamar. This rush heavy attack hasn't gotten you far in the playoffs. Let's go bombs away." It just hasn't turned out that way because the wide receivers are not that great. But the one that is Zay Flowers, so they started getting more jet sweeps, like you mentioned, Yak. So take away Zay Flowers, and I think that's pretty much it for this passing game. I'm not saying it's easy, and it's Lamar Jackson too, but force them to pass and not have Zay Flowers involved, and you're probably looking at a nice W.
Yeah, and I'm with you. You have to control. Like my biggest thing, Gilbert, is we've seen what they with. Oh, there we go. Still waiting for yeah,
Same here.
and the trailer just dropped for season 2. So season 2, I think, is coming in the summer. So if you're a big fan,
Shout
there we
out,
go.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve, shout out to you. But
Onyx did it. I'll
yes,
lock
there
him
we
in.
go.
Sorry, go ahead,
There we
Victor.
go. No, no, you're good. I was just gonna say, it's to your point, we've seen the Ravens jump on people, and so you want to be able to control things here if you're the Rams. And so I'm with you. I'm gonna for me, Gilbert, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and continue to feed Kyren Williams on the ground and have Puka Nacua be your featured on your passing attack. You know whose house? There you go. Whose house is? It's Horn's house. That's what it is. No, it's Ram's house. But yeah, like going back to that, Gilbert. You know, I really like what they've done since coming off the bye week. I think you should continue to do it. We've seen a really good balanced attack from the offense, and then the defense. I think a key we should mention, Gilbert, is allow the Ravens to score on the opening drive for a touchdown because they've done it for 3 straight weeks, and if they do that again, it'll be
Yeah,
another win. Yeah.
that's such a weird stat, but yeah, maybe let them score one. But I keep saying, make them play from behind. But who knows what works nowadays in the NFL?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's happened for 3 straight weeks. Make it a fourth, and then you get another win. But here we got one more comment from Henry. It's a shame you guys aren't homers. Down at right.
I'm not allowed to be a homer, Henry.
Yeah,
I'm paid to be not biased, but I am really enjoying what the Rams are doing. I'll say that though, Henry.
yeah, and we give you guys all the information that you guys need. I mean, we try to keep you guys. Oh yes, I here. That's right. I love it. And then Henry, I saw him on TikTok and I was surprised. He said Henry Camacho says, "Who remembers Lee Hacksaw Hamilton?" He was the first person that him and Joe. Oh God, what was his name? Joe. I'm blanking on it. It was Big Joe. They're who I used to listen to on the radio. It's like the best 15 minutes of sports
Yeah,
are coming up. So if
San
you
Diego.
know in San Diego, no, and then the cool thing was you can hear them. His opening remarks where you can hear him from here to the from Baja to the Canadian Rockies, and yeah, that was Joe McDonald. Thank you, Henry. Joe McDonald, big Joe
I guess
McDonald.
that
So
you
I
and
was
Henry are the same age.
Probably, yes, we probably listen to them. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Henry for correcting me there. But yeah, let's get to our let's get to our betting spotlight, Gilbert. The Rams are 7 point underdogs and the over under is 48 and a half.
Ooh,
What side of are you, what side of the betting are you going with here?
Yeah, the Rams offense is I've been very impressed. Henry, I'm not a homer, but I'm gonna keep it real, and they're a good offense. I like them. And then again, I am worried about the Ravens passing attack. So it's gonna be close. It's in Baltimore. It's gonna be tough. Bye week too for the Ravens are well rested. I'll take the points here for the Rams. Give me the 7. And then that's pretty low for me, 40.5. It could be a little slugfest, but I'll take the over, and that's been the trend because this Rams offense and they've really crushed me on my total bets because
Let
the
me
last
check. Let me check the weather in Baltimore as you. Go
yeah
ahead.
the last 2 weeks I've gone under on the Rams games and they're just dropping 30 points with ease. So I'll
It
go
might
with the over
rain.
here.
It's 80% chance of rain, Gilbert, on Sunday. So it's gonna be a run heavy.
But it could be like 42 points. I'm not saying it's going to well over 40, but I think 40 is a little too low for me, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Rams to with the points there, and then I go with the amount of points that the Rams have been scoring. I like the over in this game as well, 40.5. That's a good one to go.
You want to give Marty a little explainer real quick?
Yeah, the over under, that means that they're saying that it's going to be 40.5 points, that they're saying that between the two teams are what's going to score. So you either have to you're either saying that they're going to score under 40.5 or they're going to score over 40.5. That's between both teams. So
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Like last week, they would have been over because it was 36-19, so it was way over 40 points total. So,
Yeah.
Victor's asking it over under, and we're both predicting over for this one.
Yeah, and then we're saying that the Rams are probably going to cover in this game. That's a high, that's a lot of points to give the Rams, especially with the way they've been
Yeah.
playing. All right, Gilbert. Everybody watching and listening, give us your game predictions as well. I know
Oh
some of you
man.
guys have already done it, so but go ahead, Gilbert, and then I'll start
Lot-
posting them as they come in.
Okay, it's a lot of pressure, but yeah, definitely give us your game predictions here. But a lot of pressure though with people watching here. It is pretty cool to see, Rams fans hanging out here in the live chat. So I'm glad we're doing this live now. But I'm gonna be the bad guy. Don't boo me off here on the live show here. And you know, I I was a little hesitant to take the 7 points for the Rams because the way it turned out for Seattle and Detroit. But you know what? I like LA's team better than those two teams right now, but just not good enough to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they're still a young team that's going to go through some growing pains, I feel like. And they're going to Baltimore, and this team had 2 weeks to prepare. They're not as strong without Mark Andrews, but they're very well coached. John Harbaugh. I don't think we mentioned John Harbaugh's name today. That's how good he's a good coach, and you got Mike McDonald. That's what I meant. Mike McDonald's been so good. We've been talking about him a little more. They got Todd Monken too. So I think it's gonna be one of these experiences where like, that was a tough one. We're gonna get better. We're gonna learn from it. So how about 21-20? Ravens win, and the Rams come just short on the final drive here.
Yeah, and if we're being sincere here, I have to say that the two best teams at home this season have been the Cowboys and the Ravens. We've seen them destroy teams, and then we saw the Rams go into the Cowboys, and they got destroyed. And so that's my only fear here, is the fact that the Rams are going to. But one of the things that I'll say is the fact that the Rams are playing way better than they were going into the Cowboys. And so this is where I'm going a little bit higher than you. I think it's going to be 25-22 Ravens. I think they keep it close, but I just think the kicking situation, I still have a couple of issues with it until we know whether it's Mason Crosby or it's Haversick. I can't trust it. So I'm gonna say 25-22 Ravens. I think they keep it close. And then we have a couple more comments. Stevan says, if I win the jersey, I would donate it to Victor
Yeah,
to match his hat. There you
that'd be
go.
nice.
Yeah. And then Henry Camacho likes your call. He says
I
good
like it.
call on them. And then Marty says here to hate to say it, but the Rams 23-28. So we're all in the same. We
Yeah.
all like the Rams to cover this game,
This is my
and
type of crowd, Victor. They keep it
yeah,
real, and obviously nobody's wishing that the Ravens win, but you gotta just call it like it is. And if the Rams pull it out, even better because you weren't expecting it, and it's a nice surprise. But I like this group here. They're keeping it real. Nobody's attacking me. Sometimes when you're going against the home team, people really get at you. So I
I
like it.
think I think people are realistic. They know what the winnable games are. They know that they have Washington, the Giants, and the Saints. Those are the ones you need to win. Everybody knows how good the Ravens are, and everybody knows how good the 49ers are. I think if you win this game, it puts you send a message to the NFL, as we put on our it'll send people, and you're gonna have even more people jumping on the bandwagon, and we're gonna have more of an audience here, Gilbert, on the live, because people are gonna be even more exciting. So we're hoping that the Rams pull out a win, but hey, we just gotta keep it real, as they said. So
Yeah.
uh
And then even if they lose, like just for Rams fans, just got to be patient because there's still 5 games to go, and the Packers and the Vikings have probably an easier matchup this week, but it's going to even out at the end, so they're still in a good spot regardless. But who knows? I think for sure, Vic, you probably have to still one between either the 49ers game or the Ravens game, and you're a lock for sure. But you never know. Good night, Henry.
Good night, Henry. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, and that's at least what you want. Remember, we talked about this. We're here on week 14. We're talking about a potential playoff run for the Rams, or trying to get into the playoffs, I should say, and get one of those wild card spots. Not a lot of people expected that, so that's pretty cool to be in this position right now and be able to talk about that. So, but with that said, I want to thank everybody who joined us today, Gilbert. Henry Camacho, Marty, got LA Rams. I'm going through the list here. Steve
Onyx.
On, yeah, Onyx 2626. We got Marty. I'm sure I said that already. Kevin, Alonzo, Beast Unleash 88. Yeah, thank you guys for checking in with us. It is really cool to see everybody chiming in, letting us know what's up. Like I said, continue to subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, especially as the Rams continue to win. We will have you guys covered here. We're on live on Wednesdays, and then we have the post game show right after. If Gilbert, usually has work to do for Sports Illustrated, he'll try to join me, but sometimes I'll go solo. And you can also comment on there, or you can check in on the post game comments there. So we love your feedback. So please continue to send in your comments even after this.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So try to be locked in on the Puka Nacua jersey giveaway. We're trying to get to the Super Bowl Radio Row. So check out the link in the description how you can help us get there. It'd be cool to do a House of Horn shows live from Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. Maybe the Rams are there. I don't know. But it'd be cool to get there. And then the last thing, if you want to talk the entire NFL in general for all the games in Week 14, join us in about an hour. There's gonna be another live video coming up, and we call it the Looking Ahead Show, where we talk the entire NFL. So you want to talk about all the other games, you want to join us too, feel free. So check that out here on House of Horns or on the Compas on the Beat YouTube channel.
Good night, LA Rams. Thanks for checking in. And yeah, Gilbert, go ahead. That's all I got for you. Thanks once again. Thanks to everybody who joined us. That was really cool to see. It's cool to see this channel continue to grow, Gilbert.
Yeah, but on that note, let's get to Week 14. Baltimore Ravens against the LA Rams, a very intriguing matchup. But ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.